Every morning, Walter received the same condescending looks. What has this old man accomplished in his life, they wondered. If only they knew, his theories would make millions of people live safer. But Walter preferred silence, until the town was on the brink of death. Walter Thompson was a quiet 68-year-old man who worked at the only gas station in the small town of Millbrook, Kansas. His gray hair was unkempt, his glasses old and cracked. He arrived at work every morning at 6 a.m. and worked until 10 p.m. His uniform was oil-stained, his hands always looking dirty. To the town's 2,300 residents, Walter was simply the elderly attendant at the gas station. Millbrook was a typical American town. On its main street were a grocery store, a diner, a bank, and the Texaco station where Walter worked. People were born, raised, married, and died here. Some dreamed of moving to the big city, but most never left. To Walter, the town was the perfect hideaway. Customers always treated Walter the same way. Young couples were irritated by his slow movements as they filled up their cars. "That man is so slow," they would mutter. Middle-aged businessmen ignored him, acting as if he weren't there. The town's wealthy children made fun of Walter. Last month, Jake Morrison, son of the town's wealthiest family, had come to a gas station with his friends. As Walter was filling up, Jake had said to his friends, "See, you need to study to avoid being like this guy. Otherwise, you'll still be working at the gas station at 70. His friends had laughed and looked at Walter with pity. Walter heard these words but remained silent. What Jake didn't know was that Walter had a PhD in physics from Princeton University. And what he didn't know even more was that Walter had won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1987. Walter's real name was Dr. Walter Eugene Thompson. Born in Nebraska in 1955, he was a mathematical and physics prodigy from childhood. He won a full scholarship to MIT at 16 and graduated at 20. He earned his doctorate at Princeton at 25 and began working at CERN at 30. Walter's specialization was atmospheric physics and climate dynamics. The theories he developed in the 1980s revolutionized weather forecasting. His formulas allowed him to predict hurricanes, tornadoes, and extreme weather events days in advance. This helped protect millions of people worldwide from natural disasters. In 1987, the Nobel Committee awarded Walter the Physics Prize for his theories of atmospheric dynamics and climate change. At the time, Walter was one of the world's most renowned scientists. He appeared on television, gave lectures at universities, and wrote books. But for Walter, fame had become a curse. The constant media attention, the social events, the academic political games, it all overwhelmed him. Walter only wanted to pursue science, not be famous. He felt increasingly unhappy with each passing day. In 1995, his wife, Margaret, died of cancer. Walter's world was shattered. Margaret was the only person who understood him. They had no children. Walter fell into depression after this loss and also lost interest in his academic career. In 1998, Walter made a sudden decision. He resigned from his job at Princeton, sold his house, and disappeared. The media searched for him for months, but Walter left no trace. "Genius scientist vanishes," headlines ran in the newspapers. Walter had actually moved to the small town of Millbrook, Kansas, bought a modest house, and started working at a gas station. No one knew who he was. He used the name Walter Thompson and didn't talk about his past. For the first time, he had found peace in his life. He had lived this way for 12 years. He went to work in the morning, filled the gas tank, handled the cash register, and cleaned. In the evenings, he stayed home, reading books and listening to music. He didn't form close friendships, but he didn't become hostile either. He lived an ordinary, quiet life. But Walter hadn't abandoned science. He had a small laboratory in his house. At night, he analyzed weather data and conducted atmospheric modeling. He was simply curious, without telling anyone. He still contributed to the world, but secretly. His Nobel Prize was hidden in a locked cabinet in Walter's basement. Beside it were his diploma from Princeton, certificates from renowned scientific journals, and letters of appreciation from world leaders. But no one saw them. Walter chose to keep this past buried. The townspeople respected Walter, if not loved him. He had worked honestly for 12 years, never harming anyone. Some pitied him, calling him, "poor old man." Others considered him lazy and a failure. But Walter didn't care. On the evening of Sunday, May 19, 2024, Walter's life would change again. He was working the evening shift. At 8:30 p.m., the Weather Service issued an emergency warning, Category F4 tornado heading toward the Millbrook area. Estimated arrival time, 12:30 a.m. The town was in panic. An F4 tornado meant winds could reach 200 miles per hour, 320 kilometers per hour. This could level every building in town. People didn't know what to do. Sheriff Marcus Rodriguez arrived at the gas station. "Walter, we're evacuating the town. Go home and stay safe," he said. Walter had reviewed the weather reports. This tornado was unusual. Tornadoes this strong wouldn't normally occur in this area. But atmospheric conditions had created a perfect storm. "Sheriff, where are people going?" Walter asked. "To Topeka, about 50 miles away. But if everyone drives, there will be traffic on the roads. Time is short." Walter began to think. His 12-year-old scientist reflexes were back. He analyzed the data he had, the tornado's trajectory, its speed, atmospheric pressure, wind directions. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Walter realized something. The tornado's path was different than predicted. The Weather Service was wrong. According to Walter's calculations, the tornado would hit the town not at 12:30 a.m., but at 10:45 p.m. That's 2 hours early. And its trajectory was also different, coming from the south, not the north of town. In that case, people trying to escape to Topeka would be right in the tornado's path. There could have been a massacre. Walter felt his heart pounding. He had to reveal his identity, which he had concealed for 12 years. Because the lives of everyone in the town were at stake. He ran to Sheriff Rodriguez. "Sheriff. Stop everything. People are going the wrong way." "Walter, what are you telling me?" "The Weather Service. The Weather Service is wrong." Walter's voice had never sounded so decisive. "The tornado will arrive at 10:45 p.m., not 12:30 a.m. And it will come from the south." Rodriguez was surprised. "Walter, how do you know?" Walter took a deep breath. "Because I am Dr. Walter Eugene Thompson. Winner of the 1987 Nobel Prize in Physics. An expert in atmospheric dynamics." The sheriff looked away. "Walter, this is no time for jokes." Walter ran to the office behind the gas station. He turned on the computer and accessed NASA's weather database. His old password was still valid. It brought up real-time satellite imagery. "Look," Walter said. "Here's the real data. The tornado's eye is currently 30 miles away. Its speed is 50 miles per hour, 85 kilometers per hour. Based on that calculation, it will reach here at 10:45 p.m. Rodriguez looked at the data on the screen. Indeed, the tornado's location differed from the official reports. And worse, Walter continued, the tornado will change course due to atmospheric pressure differences. It will cross over Topeka. People are heading right into the disaster zone. It was 10:15 p.m. 30 minutes remained. Rodriguez had to decide whether to trust Walter. "Walter, if you're wrong." "I'm not wrong. In my 35-year career, I've never been wrong." Walter's eyes held a look of determination never seen before. Rodriguez made his decision. He turned on his radio. "All crews, stop. Evac route changed. Turn people away immediately." The town was in chaos. People didn't understand what was happening. Some were returning home, while others were stranded. Walter grabbed the microphone and made the town announcement, "Millbrook residents, I'm Dr. Walter Thompson. Nobel Prize-winning atmospheric dynamics expert. I've calculated the tornado's exact path. You need to proceed immediately to the north side of town, to the high school building. This is the safest place." People were shocked to hear Walter's voice. Was the old man at the gas station a Nobel Prize winner? Jake Morrison was also at the gas station. "This man is crazy," he shouted. "Don't trust him." But just then, tornado sirens began to wail. The roar of the storm could be heard in the distance. Walter's calculation was correct, the tornado was arriving at 10:45 p.m. People panicked. Walter took the lead. "Everyone, leave your cars. Walk to the school. Stay away from the parking lot." For 45 minutes, Walter, with his millennia of experience as a scientist, governed the town. He evacuated people to safe areas, organized the injured, and coordinated communications. The tornado struck at 10:47 p.m. It passed exactly where Walter had predicted. It leveled the buildings on Main Street, but the schoolhouse remained unharmed. 2,300 people were saved thanks to Walter's plan. After the tornado passed, everyone surrounded Walter. Jake Morrison came, his eyes filled with tears. "Dr. Thompson. I'm sorry. You saved my life." Sheriff Rodriguez shook his hand. "Walter, are you really a Nobel Prize winner?" Walter smiled. "Yes, Marcus. But that's a detail. The important thing is that everyone is safe." After that night, Walter's life changed again. CNN, Fox News, and all the national media came to Millbrook. Headlines ran, "Nobel Prize-winning scientist saves town." But this time, Walter didn't escape the fame. Because now he had a goal, to show people the value of science and break down prejudices. Walter continued working at the gas station. But now he was the most respected person in town. Young people consulted him, and children wanted to learn science from him. Jake Morrison, inspired by Walter, decided to study physics. "Dr. Thompson showed me what true success was," he said. Princeton University wanted Walter back. They even offered him double his salary. But Walter refused. "This is my place. These people need me." Walter now gives free science lessons to the town's children on weekends. He turned the small laboratory in his home into a field trip. He no longer hides his Nobel Prize, he shows it off to the children and encourages them to pursue science. The most significant change was in how people view each other. Walter's story demonstrated how deceptive appearances can be. No one in town judges each other anymore. Walter's office at the gas station now has a sign, "Everyone has a story. Learn to listen." This story didn't just stay in Millbrook. It went viral worldwide, sparking a movement called the Walter Effect. People began to pay more attention to the seemingly ordinary people around them. Today, Walter is still 68, still working at the gas station. But no one calls him the old man who failed. Because everyone knows that true success isn't in titles, but in touching people. On Walter's desk, next to his Nobel Prize, sits a photo of the night of the tornado. In that photo, 2,300 people are smiling. They are Walter's greatest achievement. And every morning, when Walter arrives at work, he is no longer greeted with condescension, but with gratitude and respect. Because the town has learned that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes, they are just old men working at the gas station. Walter's story teaches us this: genius can happen anywhere. Success isn't always visible. And sometimes the greatest values are hidden in the most ordinary places. The key is to treat everyone with respect and learn to listen. Walter Eugene Thompson, Nobel Prize-winning scientist and Millbrook gas station attendant. 2 identities, 1 man. And perhaps that is his greatest achievement.